Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Gita Marie and it's July, which means that it is also plastic-free July. And I've been zero waste for a hot second. Or more like 8 years. And if you haven't heard about Plastic-Free July, it's basically a month where there's a little bit more focus on packaging and a little bit more focus on trying to be eco-conscious and reduce plastic, which we of course love to see. So in today's video, I will give you guys 30 easy and effortless and even sometimes free zero waste or plastic-free, plastic-reducing habits that you can start doing right now, that you can start doing today. That's gonna feel amazing. That's gonna be better for you, better for your wallet, and better for the planet. What do you know? Let's just get started. Also, this is actually pre-recorded because I am currently on vacation, not doing YouTube for the whole entirety of July. But neither plastic pollution nor climate change is really on vacation, so neither am I, okay? The first and most important thing to do, and also one of the most effortless things that you can do, is simply to reduce your consumption. The best thing you can do for your planet is to do nothing. What more do you want? Simply by reducing your consumption to what is necessary, by reducing overconsumption, by reducing the amount of impulse purchases and trends that you buy into, you're actually doing something amazing for the planet. Simply by buying less, you're doing good. Instead of buying into micro trends and things that are hyped up online, buy what feels right to you and then take good care of that stuff. Simply buying less, but buying better quality, things that you can have for a long time, is an amazing first step. Of course, recycling is a good place to start, but recycling is a bad place to stop. A better place to go would be to prevent waste from happening in the first place. This does not mean that recycling doesn't matter. Having a good, solid recycling system in your house so you can sort the materials into the proper bins is a really good idea, but also looking for solutions that can reduce some of this packaging from existing in the first place is even better. And especially avoid or reduce materials that can't be recycled near you. Bring disposable napkins from restaurants and take out back home instead of throwing them away. If you're not using your napkin when you're at a restaurant, it's very likely to still be thrown away because it was at the table when you were there. So simply pop it into your purse or pop it into your pocket and take it home and use it at a different time. It's a small thing, but when it comes to zero waste, sustainability, being environmentally conscious, it's not about the cost of the item, but the resources that item represents, which means that using them in the best way possible instead of just throwing them away without being used is just better. Pick up trash outside or on the street or in nature whenever you see it. I have this rule where I pick up 3 pieces of trash every single day. It might not be your fault that it's there, but trash is everybody's problem and we can all be part of that solution. That sounded very hippie, whippy, dippity, but alas, it's still true. Avoid those free flimsy plastic bags at the grocery store that you put your produce and vegetables into. Instead, dump your vegetables and produce straight into your basket and then wash it before you eat it when you come back home. You can also ditch plastic and aluminium foil and use reusable opportunities instead. That can either be solid containers or simply placing 2 plates on top of each other and placing them in the fridge. Works fine as well. No need for single-use disposables. Another food-related thing that you can do that has such a huge impact is switching out meat and dairy for plant-based alternatives. You can switch out meat for beans, tofu, lentils, peas, and other kinds of protein. It also tends to be a lot cheaper, especially if you don't rely on plant-based processed substitutes, but simply on whole foods instead. A lot of people don't know this, but you can actually freeze things down in glass jars without them breaking. What you need to remember is to leave some airspace in the top of your jar so your liquid can expand. Wait until your food has room temperature before you place it in the fridge. Then you're good to go. This is a small thing, but if you are an able-bodied person, say no to straws at restaurants or bars. When you make your order, simply just say, "Oh, and no straw, please." And that is literally it. This is not the biggest sustainability hack in the world. Plastic pollution accounted for by straws is less than 1% of plastic pollution overall. But again, this is about simply just using materials in the best possible way. Use a lunchbox for your lunch. Well, yeah. Duh. But you can also have a lunchbox in your bag and use it for leftovers, picnics, if you have leftovers from restaurants and takeout. It's a really neat way of both transporting your food and storing it at home. And with that, you can bring your own reusable container to takeout places to get your food. That way, you will reduce a lot of single-use disposable plastic. Takeout places uses a lot of disposable plastic for packaging food. And not only is that not really sustainable, but it can also actually be a health hazard. I prefer bringing a glass lunchbox with a silicone top. And I use that to get burgers, pizza, stir fries, noodles, rice, all kinds of stuff, salads. Bring your own container. You can also bring your own reusables to garden parties, picnics, whatnot. I typically tend to keep a set of cutlery in my bag so I don't have to use disposable plastic cutlery. And use reusable kitchen cloth rather than disposable paper napkins. I've heard a lot of people say that, well, paper napkins actually use less water than it requires to do laundry and to then wash the cloth, but that's just simply not the case. Producing single-use paper products actually require a lot of water, and you can simply throw in the cloth with the rest of your laundry. Use thrift stores or secondhand platforms before you buy from new. Either check your local thrift stores or search on online secondhand platforms for whatever you're looking for. Chances are someone is selling it, and that is not only cheaper for you, which is a big win, it's also better for the planet, because then your consumption of this particular product is not creating demand for more products to be made. You can regrow or simply just grow from scratch vegetables and herbs in your window in your kitchen. You don't even need a garden to do this. It reduces the amount of herbs you buy at a grocery store, which often comes with plastic, but they're also grown in greenhouses that come with quite the carbon footprint. I love to reuse jars from jams and condiments to store my food. You don't need to buy a lot of really aesthetic looking zero waste containers. Simply just use glass jars from the grocery store. It's cheaper and it's also more sustainable. If you have the opportunity to buy from bulk stores and farmers markets, do so. Having this accessible to you is not a make it or break it in sustainability. You can absolutely still be zero waste and environmentalist without using bulk stores and farmers markets. If you have the opportunity to, that is amazing. Definitely do that. Not only are you often supporting more local production of foods, but you're also supporting small businesses, and we really love that. If you don't have the opportunity to, there are still tons of other things that you can do. Simply focusing your diet on local and seasonal produce has a smaller impact. It also tends to be a lot cheaper, and it tends to mean that there is less plastic packaging. And food that's harvested locally when it's in season, just nothing beats it. Say no to samples and freebies, especially small knickknacks and things that just ends up in a junk drawer somewhere. If you don't need it, don't accept it. Even minimal skills when it comes to sewing and mending can drastically extend the life of your clothes. It doesn't have to be good or pretty or aesthetic or even correct, simply just learning by doing. That's what I've done, and so many of my favorite pieces of clothes I've been able to enjoy for so much longer because I can repair them over and over. But before your clothes break, there are tons of things that you can do to maintain them in order to extend their lifespan. One thing that you can do is opt for air drying your clothes rather than tumble drying it. Tumble drying it tends to be really harsh on the materials, so avoiding that, also because it uses a lot of energy and it uses a lot of resources, and it shortens the lifespan of your clothes. Air drying whenever possible is the way to go. One quick email or phone call and you can change your bank and pension fund to someone who doesn't invest your funds in fossil fuel projects. There are tons of things that we consumers can do in our everyday lives that have huge impacts, and we should all focus on reducing the amount of resources that we use. However, there's tons of things that is invisible to the consumer that happens around us with our resources, and it's not talked about enough, but we have agency to change it. A lot of banks are investing our savings, our funds in fossil fuel projects, and so are a lot of pension funds. Changing to a company with green values, I cannot even try to explain how much of a positive impact that makes. Avoid replacing your appliances and tech as soon as a new version comes out. Maintain, repair, and take good care of the stuff that you have for as long as possible instead. Contrary to popular belief, but using a dishwasher, you can actually save a lot of water compared to how you wash your dishes by hand. Of course, this is not always the case, depends on what appliance you're using and how you're washing your dishes by hand, but some studies find that people tend to use more water than they might realize when they wash dishes by hand. Reuse the food scraps that you can't eat by composting them. You can turn them into composting juice and mulch that you can use in your plants that will make your plants thrive. And if it's legal in your country, try dumpster diving. This has saved me so much money on groceries, you have no idea. And I'm also rescuing food from going to waste. It takes a lot of resources to produce food in the first place. It shouldn't really end up in the bin. You can also pick up things other consumers throw away. A lot of bigger community apartment dumpsters tends to have tons of home decor, furniture, what have you not, that other people throw away. You can take that back home, restore it, clean it, or resell it instead of letting it go to waste. Avoid leisure shopping as a social activity. Instead, try to invite your friends to do something different. It can be hiking in nature, it can be creating something, going on a picnic, picnic, sporty activities, and generally just doing anything that doesn't involve consumption of new stuff. Reducing your consumption of heat, water, and electricity isn't only better for the planet, it's also way better for your wallet. I get a report every single month for how many resources that I'm using, and I use an average of 35% less resources compared to my neighborhood. That's better for the planet, and it gives me a huge discount on my rent because I pay too much every month. So I get money back, and that money that I get back just goes towards my rent being lower. Yeehaw! And speaking of energy, once again, an easy phone call or email and you can change your energy supplier to someone providing green renewable energy. The less amount of fossil fuel derived energy we can have in our energy grid, the better. And these are 30 things that you can do. This is not all sustainability, zero waste or environmentalism is. There's so many other forms of activism and sustainable conscious consumption. So let me know down below what your best tips and actions are, and let's inspire each other. Happy Plastic Free July, and thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have an amazing day. Take really good care of yourselves. Until next time. Bye. Thank you so much for watching this video, and also a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys help me create green zero waste content, and I love you guys. You can find the links to my social media accounts down below and the link to my Patreon on this screen. Bye!